Hey everybody, welcome to Geekoholics Anonymous, episode 261. I'm your host Rico, here with my co-host
Hey, Cody.
Dane Cody, and I get together once a week, talk about video games, TV, movies, and whatever the hell we like. Primarily video games. How you doing, Mr. DC?
It's a weird week, man. Having like a Wednesday off in the middle of the week just feels weird.
I know. It's like
Like
awesome because
it's
you're
like
like, no
I don't have
work.
to
And
work on
it's,
Wednesday, but it's like you get a Friday night and a Sunday.
and now we got a
It,
Friday again.
yeah, it just feels weird. I
Like,
don't know.
I
I
would have
mean, it's kind of
liked.
nice. Don't get me wrong, but like at the same time, it feels like just as my week is kind of ramping up and I'm getting into it, it's like then there was a day off, and now it's like okay, now my week is ramping up again, but it's like tomorrow's Friday, so I don't. Yeah,
Could you imagine if I was talking to my wife? I'm like, what if my work schedule was like this all the time? You just got Wednesday off.
right.
Two on, one off, two on, two off.
Yeah, like yeah, I don't know.
Wednesday is, I don't know, some people I think say it's the most productive day, but some people also say it's the least productive day.
So in my line of work, Wednesday is traditionally our busiest day. So yeah.
Our work is not the busiest day because we have the most amount of guys working that day because that's like the day all the schedules like overlap. So you have the most coverage.
So like for us, I say it's the busiest day in the amount of like calls and tickets that generally get created. Like statistically Wednesday, like looking at our like ticket volume and call volume and stuff, statistically Wednesday's our busiest day for like that stuff. um I'm kind of removed out of that most of the time, so it's a little different for me. Traditionally pre-COVID, Wednesday was like my all my scheduled, like I have a bunch of weekly scheduled on sites that I go to like every single week, for like a set amount of time that people pay for. So traditionally, leading up until COVID, Wednesday was my on-site day every week. So now since COVID, it's just, I mean, what
Since
even is time
COVID,
and shit anymore, right?
everything's a fucking mess.
I mean, this is where I'm at right now with COVID. I reach into my sock drawer. So first of all, I do laundry. I put my clothes away like a human being, like a normal human being. I've stopped pairing my socks and folding them and putting them together. I just throw them in the fucking drawer and I just reach in and I grab two socks. Do they match? Who fucking cares? It's COVID, bitch. Like, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at with this whole situation.
Yeah, it is kind of
And then, of
like,
course,
ugh,
so Canada Day yesterday, that was exciting. Happy Canada Day to all our
yay.
Canadian friends. Woo, go Canada. Of course, I got to go to the dentist, which was like, boo, dentist sucks.
That's fun, I guess, because he's
So,
taking Friday off, so he worked yesterday.
actually, I was just seeing the dental hygienist. The dentist wanted, because it's been so long since I've been to the dentist, they were like, yo, you got to wash the car before you do the work on it. So this is like my pre-washing of the car, if you will. So like she cleaned the right side of my teeth. So I got to go in a couple weeks and she's going to do the left side of my face. And then I can talk to the dentist about actually getting shit fixed. But man, they like froze my whole face up and we're in there with like, I like, if it was a cartoon, I would envision her with like an angle grinder, just like
Sparks flying out.
yeah, exactly. And like to be honest, there was a little bit of that with like, you got the glasses on and shit. You just see like spray coming, like like so you don't feel anything specifically. So it was a little bit, like that, right? Your face is kind of like vibrating. You're like, what the fuck is going on here? um. So yeah, but that was kind of like it's hard. Like she was really good. She did a nice job. Like I hate the dentist, so this was the first time in a very long time that I've been there.
I love the dentist.
Uh, um, and so like she
Nobody
was
likes
trying
the
to
dentist.
so she like froze it all before she did the work on it because she was like, yeah, we're gonna have to get in there, and so that was all there. But like you know the dentist that I go to, it's about a half-hour drive from my house, give or take. So I spend I waste an hour going there and back. Then I waste 2 hours actually at the. It's just like part of it, and you're just sitting there like staring at the ceiling or their TV or whatever. But like ultimately, you're just staring up at the ceiling like with your mouth wide open, and they're okay, like open wider. It's just, yeah.
Good times.
But anyways, getting it done. So people take care of your teeth,
or you'll pay for it later.
Yes. Oh dear Lord, yes.
Or your dental plan will. One or the other. You
or
still
both.
pay for it in the end anyway.
Or both. Yeah, exactly. You pay for it in time and blood.
Yeah, we had a little barbecue. It was my sister-in-law's birthday. Nothing crazy. We weren't breaking any COVID laws or anything
Don't
like
lie,
that.
you totally were.
But
big rager.
It was pretty chill. It was weird, man. Like, no fireworks, no big hurrah, and the Wednesday day off. It's like,
yeah, I know, right? Like, yeah, there was nothing around here. Obviously, like everything was like, I don't know. Like the city said, like, oh, we're gonna do some like online stuff, but it's like, I'm not gonna fucking like tune into like a YouTube or a Twitch stream for like, yay, go cat. Like it just, it's not gonna happen.
We're good.
Yeah, we did go out. Like my wife and I did go out for like brunch. Got some poutine, had some Caesars. Just the two of us. So that was nice. But
just two of us.
Pre-dental destroying my face. So yeah,
that was the main reason we delayed yesterday because Dane was frozen and
oh yeah, it was. And then the thing is like right around the time that we were like that we would have started recording is like when everything was starting to really like the freezing was starting to come down, and it was just like shit was swollen and it just hurt, and it's just
shit was swole.
Oh, yeah, not in a good way. So yeah. But here we are. Nice. So I feel much better today. Yeah.
Welcome, everybody. Episode 261. If you've never been here before, usually we start the show off with our BS section, which we are knee-deep in. Get into some housekeeping. What you've been playing. Where Dane and I run down the games we've been playing over the last little while since last we chatted. Our news and stuff section. Public service announcements. And free-for-all. Housekeeping, as usual, remember to join the Discord server, Geekoholics.com/Discord. That's our online chat. That's where we party up and group up for playing games. It's our forum. It's our subreddit. It's our everything. That's good times. Do it. Yeah, and don't forget to, if you know how to read, and in the welcome channel, there's a pinned tweet where you can earn yourself a free PC game. Nobody's taken up that offer in quite a while.
Jeez.
Not very hard. Other housekeeping. We usually release every Thursday in podcast form and stream on Wednesday nights on twitch.tv/Geekoholics. Today we're a day late because of Dane's dentist appointment and the holiday. But yeah, normally you can catch us 8 p.m. weekly, twitch.tv/Geekoholics if you want to catch us live. Otherwise, obviously, if you're seeing this on Twitch or on YouTube, we are also available in podcast format. If video does not work for you, you can listen to us in your ear holes on your, podcasting device of choice. With that being said, Dane, I think that's it for housekeeping. We're done BSing. Shall we get into what you've been playing?
I mean, it's kind of an extension of BSing, but...
Yeah. Because you'd be playing a bunch of BS. I mean, what?
Oh, fuck you, man. You and your...
Oh, I guess since I can't say anything, I'll just talk about what I've been playing. I got Ghost of Tsushima. # game provided by PlayStation or by Sony. You're probably going to get yours soon. Just chillax. You're on the list.
Psh, we'll see. We'll see.
You got Last of Us, so I don't see it'll be any different with this.
This sounds bad, and I know lots of people get upset by this, but I'd trade Last of Us for Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, God damn it, I can't say anything.
There you go.
I have it. So. The embargo is up on July 14th, which is like 2 days above before release. because it releases
Yeah.
on the 17th or whatever I think it is. Or 3 days before the
Yeah.
release.
So essentially, in 2 weeks,
Yeah,
we will
two,
talk. We
two,
will be talking about it in
weeks.
2 weeks.
Um, nope. I almost said something. I can't say nothing.
No,
I'll
don't
talk
say
about it.
nothing.
I'll talk about it in 2 weeks.
There you go.
God damn it! Oh, someone tweeted me on Twitter. They're like, "Blink if it's good," and I'm like, "God damn it!" And I'm like, "Guess I gotta keep my eyes open."
There you go. Can't even
Oh
do that.
shit! I blinked.
Oh,
Sony's gonna blacklist me now.
yeah. Son of a bee.
So Dane, what have you been playing?
I've played a few things. So like as you probably are aware, the Steam sale is ongoing as we speak. There's a whole bunch of Steam games that are up for sale right now. I may or may not have grabbed a few of them because they were a good deal and it seemed like a good idea at the time.
Is the Steam
And I
sale still
had,
going on?
yes, it is.
I honestly haven't even looked at it.
Well, aren't you lucky? I bought a few games. I've actually bought the Mummy demastered game that's like the 2D side-scrolling Metroidvania. I haven't played it yet. I'm just going through the stuff that I picked up because they
I
were a
heard
good
that
deal.
game was all right.
I heard it was awesome. Apparently, the music is amazing. So, I thought I'd give that a check out. There was a Gibbous, a Cthulhu adventure, which looked very interesting, and I like the art style, so I grabbed that because it was like $4. Dragon's Dogma, The Dark Arisen, was also on sale, so I may have grabbed that as well. I also grabbed Divinity Original Sin 2 because I hear really good things, and that's apparently awesome.
When are you gonna play all these fucking games?
Fuck, I don't know.
Magically you got some like super like time machine?
And then I grabbed a game called Metropolis Lux Obscura. And then I picked up a game called Spellforce 3.
Holy Jesus Christ.
And then I picked up Grim Dawn. Shut up.
Were these
Don't
like
judge
25
me.
cents each or something?
No, they ranged from like, I think the most expensive one was Divinity. I think it was like $29. Most of them were like $5-6. So anyways, so I picked up Grim Dawn at our friend Giles' recommendation. We were talking about it a few weeks ago, and he was like, "Man, if you're into like the Diablo or that style of game, you should check out Grim Dawn. It's pretty cool." So when I saw it on sale, I was like, I don't even remember. It was pretty cheap right now. Hold on one second. I'll tell you exactly how cheap it is. It is $5.59.
That's pretty
So
cheap.
that gives you an idea. It's pretty cheap right now.
This is that just before you go on. That's the
Mhm.
one thing I will say PC is like king of is like bargain basement like sales. Like eventually. Like stuff is available like so cheaply.
Exactly, right? So yeah, so like I said, so I picked up some games. I played a few of them. Grim Dawn was the one I've probably I've put what does my Steam say? Almost 4 hours into Grim Dawn so far. So I mean, I'm sure in a game like this, I'm just scratching the surface. It feels a lot like, I would actually say it feels more like Diablo 2 than 3, to be honest with you. It's got it's a little darker. It's a pretty interesting world. It's like, it's not sort of a high fantasy world. It's like almost set in like the Wild West with like at about like the 18th century is what it kind of feels like. Like it's kind of like this little bit, there's like a little bit of steampunk to it, but it's predominantly kind of this like almost Victorian era. It's pretty cool. So far it's really good. I've created my character. I've kind of chosen a path and kind of wandered down it. There's a variety of different paths that you can go down. I was actually kind of surprised at how many there was. Some of them are kind of standard, like gunner and soldier and stuff, but there's some pretty interesting looking ones. I chose one. It's like the idea is it's almost like you throw like grenades and stuff and like kind of explosives and things like that, which is kind of neat. And you carry like shotguns and like pea shooters and various other sort of cannons and arm cannons and things like that. So it's pretty neat. Like I said, it's a fairly standard like formula wise, like or gameplay wise, it's very much a like that type of action RPG. Diablo or any of those Path
Yeah.
of Exile. Like it's very much one of those. In this one, you do use potions, so it's not like in like it's very like if I don't know if for those of us who are really old and remember like Diablo 2 and when Diablo 3 first came out, you would collect potions and then you would use them, and there's a little you there was sort of like a little cooldown before you could use another one. But that was kind of how you dealt with health. There's, depending on the items you get, that will also help increase your health. In this game, they also have a thing where if you don't eat, so there's like food that you end up picking up here and there and stuff like that throughout your travels. But if you don't pick up any food for a while or anything like that, then that actually hurts what they call your constitution. And your health doesn't recharge during combat, which is kind of a neat sort of idea to like you're hungry, if you will, right?
Yeah.
And then you find some more food and whatever, and it helps your constitution and your health increases during combat and stuff, which is cool. You have a portal, which is very handy. I appreciate that. So you can travel back to town whenever you kind of need to.
80% off.
Which is amazing because, like, let's be honest, what's the worst part about those games is your bags are full and now you have to try and get back to town to sell a bunch of shit.
And I hate it when my bags are full.
I know. So there is a personal portal that you can always throw. You don't have like there doesn't seem to be any like uses on it, so it's not like you have to like in Diablo 2 where you had like town portal scrolls. Yeah. It's not like that. It's just you can throw your portal up and it's your personal portal and you go through it.
I love personal portals. I love my PP.
Yeah. As you play, you'll come across like sort of big portals that are sort of the different areas, and that's what you can use to kind of get back to those areas. If you close the game and restart it, things like that. There's kind of a town. It's structured very similar to like a Diablo 2 or Diablo 3. So far, the story is kind of cool. I'm gonna keep playing it. It's definitely, like I said, it's fun to play. I don't know. I believe there's a co-op mode.
If you told me this was Diablo 3, I would believe you. Like I'm watching a video the entire time you've been talking about it. Like
it's very pretty. Page. I would say it might be prettier than Diablo 3, but I mean it's also quite a bit newer, so that makes sense, But no. It's got like okay, it has online co-op, so I don't know if that's up to how many players. I'm not sure, but I mean, it's $6 like right now. Yeah, seriously,
it's normally $30, so that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, so like honestly, like if you're interested in it and you've been maybe like thinking about it, like or you're in the mood for one of those, like it's a very good one of those. I haven't really come across anything that is either like a horrible bug. It's got a like a pretty good skill system. Like there's like I said, there's the various skills and various things to level up. So like there's all of that. So far the story is very intriguing. They've got a neat thing where how in like Diablo and these types of games, like you'll end up wandering into like various dungeons and like caves and things like that. Well, in this one, some of the bigger ones that you come across, once you clean them out, you can like purge them of the evil, if you will. And when you do that, depending on if you kill a bunch of dudes or if you use some like shards to cleanse the area, How, like, depending on the type of area that it is, will depend on, you know, what you need to do to cleanse it.
Yeah.
But when you do that, you get these what they call devotion points, which you can then put into this other giant, like it's just like a secondary or a third skill tree, and you get like all kinds of other like upgrades, like increases your offense by 5%, or you know, gives you 50 health, and like, so it's all these other big overarching things as well. So it's like this extra little thing depending on how you want to build your character. So you can get pretty like it's pretty involved, which is cool. But like I said, it's $6. So far, I'm really enjoying it. It's been a fun little romp. I don't know how long it is, but judging by the skill tree and everything else, I imagine it's quite large. You know, it's a loot. There's tons of loot. You got shit flying off of dudes left, right, and center. It's great. You go back to town, you like sell a bunch of it, upgrade a bunch of it. It's got, you know, the gems slots kind of like in a Diablo and that type of thing. So yeah, it's been fun. There's a bunch of DLC. Some of it's like standalone, some of it's like expansions. I'm just playing the base game right now because I was like, you know, hey, I'm gonna grab that one, and because it's $6, and if it's good and I, you know, need more, then I can always come back for some of the DLC later on or whatever.
Like,
right? So,
looking on their Steam page, there's like 3 DLC.
yeah, Ashes of Maymuth, Forgotten Gods, and is there maybe one other one that's also coming? I think those are the two like expansions. Gods. Yeah, the Ashes of Malmuth and Forgotten Gods are both expansions, and then there's what they call a Crucible mode DLC, which I don't know. Or something? I think so. Yeah. So, yeah, it's a very good one of those. I can definitely see where Giles was coming at. It was a good recommendation for sure.
Cool.
Yeah, and then I actually picked up one of the other games that I played from my new Steam was a game called Metropolis Lux Obscura. This is kind of a weird game. It's done in like a Frank Miller Sin City comic book style. It's like kind of almost black and white with like real comic book pages. It's definitely a mature game. It's not overly long, but it's got multiple endings, so there's kind of reasons to play through it. And the whole idea is that it's like kind of like a graphic novel, but when you come across like enemies, if you will, it turns into like a match 3 style game. So you like have these story beats that happen, and then it switches into like you'll come across, like, for example, one of the things near the beginning of the game, like you play this like your character is like this dude. He just got out of jail. He's back on the street, and you're trying to like figure out who put you in. You know, you're trying to put the story together. Like I said, it's like a super noir, it feels very Sin City, very Frank Miller-esque. You know, everybody's a dirtbag kind of an idea. But like it's got this cool match 3 idea. So it's like you come across, you know, a bouncer at one of the bar, or you're in a bar and you're talking to some guy, and this guy decides he doesn't like the cut of your jib, so he comes over and he starts a fight with you. And so like instead of just the story going through and you see like, you know, a couple comic scenes or whatever, it goes into like a Bejeweled style sort of match 3 game, and you actually like he's got health and you have health, and you got to try and like outmatch him. And like it's fairly simplistic, don't get me wrong. Like I said, it's not a super long game. I think I got it for like now $3 or $2. Like it was cheap.
Yeah.
But I think I played it for about 4 hours. I've beat it multiple times. I've got 3 out of the 4 endings. So, but it's cool. It's right up my alley. It's like I like match 3. It's fun.
What's the Marvel game that does that?
Marvel Puzzle Quest.
Yeah, Puzzle Quest. Yeah. It's basically a puzzle quest.
Yeah, kinda. It's definitely like kind of like a Sin City Puzzle Quest. Yeah, like it's like I said, it's definitely a mature game. You know, they're shanking dudes. There's
you get strippers all over the place. Apparently,
I was gonna say you go to a strip club and there's there's definitely you do go, like I said, it's very Sin City. It's like kind of that black and white. Certain things are colored, but like most everything's black and white. It's I like I said, I really enjoyed it. It's not there's not a ton to it. It's not like this super involved game. You play through it multiple times, you kind of see the various endings, and then that's kind of it.
Under $5.
Um, but when like I said, I got it on sale. It was so cheap. I enjoyed it. I don't know that I'll go back for the fourth ending. I might just watch the last one on YouTube or whatever. Um, but I enjoyed it. I had a really good time with it. So if you're kind of into those things, then good on you.
Cool. Dane bringing that budget gaming fix for you.
Hey, absolutely, right? Plus, hey, it's relevant because the Steam sale's on right now. So if you're interested, like, oh, looking for a few things maybe to pick up,
I've continued my Ring Fit adventure.
You're looking a little swole.
You should see the 6-pack.
Yeah.
Not allowed to show that on stream.
Right.
Might get banned.
Your keg.
Too hot for TV. Yeah, I wish it was a keg. At least it would have some definition.
Oh. Blobby mess.
Yeah, I've been doing it every other day. I'm actually been busting a sweat. I'm enjoying it. It's fun. My mother-in-law made fun of me because she was watching me play it the other day.
I could see that. You'd probably look pretty silly.
You're running in spot, doing...
Yeah, for sure.
You're basically doing Pilates and aerobics and...
Right.
I guess, what do they call that band thing?
It's a Pilates. I mean, it's a Pilates ring, right?
Is that what it's just called?
Yep.
Anyway, yeah, I find it engaging, and I bust a sweat, so it's doing something. Obviously, it's going to take a while before it really shows, but
hey, but at least you're not just sitting on your ass like me.
No, I've been really bad with exercise lately. Like, I was hoping soccer would have started up by now, but I don't think that's ever going to happen. So I needed something, and the elliptical is just so boring.
Yeah.
Mainly because there's nothing on Netflix I'm watching right now. Well, I am watching. We're blazing through Ozark, but I can only watch that with the wife, so I don't really have anything else I want to be watching on my own on Netflix. So,
got you. What about Amazon Prime?
I don't have Prime on the box hooked up to the TV.
What do you mean you don't have Prime?
Dane, this is a long story. The gym TV doesn't have any working HDMI ports, so I can't hook up any kind of streaming device to it. I have a set-top box connected to it with component cables. And Amazon Prime is not on our streaming boxes. Actually, that's a lie. It's in beta. I have access to it. I just forgot about that now that I'm saying it out loud.
See?
I guess I could find something. I guess I could find something on Prime to watch.
Dude, that's like I'm not going to lie. I don't understand when somebody tells me, "Okay, look, you're looking for something on Netflix? Go watch Community. You've never watched Community. Do yourself a favor, fucking watch Community. That show is we're almost through season 2, and that show is just getting better. It's so fucking good. I'm amazed. It took me this long to watch it. I'm amazed you haven't watched it. It is like up your alley.
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
Yeah, it's on Netflix and Amazon Prime.
And those are short episodes, right? Like half hour.
They're 22 minutes. They're like they were your half-hour show on TV. And like honestly, like I know my brother for years has been like, dude, you got to watch Community. It's amazing. And like I said, I watched one or two episodes like years ago, and I was like, didn't really hook me. I watched like 4, got into the second, third episode, and I was like, oh shit, this show's awesome. And here we are. Like I said, we're just closing in on the end of season 2 right now, getting ready to get into season 3. Like that show's awesome. So I think it would be right up your alley because it's just I should watch that. The hot takes, man. It show's awesome.
Probably do some elliptical to warm up and then do my Ring Fit adventure and really get in shape.
So,
and then you play some more Desperados?
Dude. So I figured out. So the other night I was playing this because I wanted to give it another shot because like I really enjoyed what I played of it the first time, but I was like I kind of wanted to get more into it, right, and play more of it. And you know what I've realized? This is a top-down Hitman game with more people. So instead of just controlling one Hitman, you're controlling multiple Hitmen, if you will.
Wild West.
It's
Regulated.
yes, because like it is so that type of game where it's like you can set up these ridiculous like situations. So like the other night, one of the things that I had to do is like the story was like I was in a bar with me and this other guy, and some of the guys from the railroad came in and they were being dickheads. So we beat the shit out of them, and then of course they came after us with all of their buddies. So we ran out the back, and then the guy that I was with, he's like, "Yeah, we got to take care of these assholes," and
These
he like
yokels.
pointed out like three different people on this like big map. So like we're in the middle of town, and there's like three people that we had to essentially go murder. And it was like entirely up to you how you wanted to do it. And there's like kind of the main area of town that's like you can walk through there, just just like in Hitman. It's like an open area. There's people that walking by, they're doing their thing. There's even some of the bad guys that if they see you, they don't really do anything because that's kind of like the safe space, if you will. But then as soon as you go into these certain areas, that's when like, hey, if you walk in here and maybe bad guys see you, they're gonna fucking murder you. And so you got to figure out like how to, one, get into these areas, and then two, like either sneak around and kill the guy you need to kill, or murder everybody and then kill that guy, or how you want to do it. And it's fucking great. Like, so like I ended up murdering some dude by climbing up onto the top of a church, and I pushed the church bell, and it fell and landed on top of him and like two of his cronies, and that's how I killed one of the dudes. Like, it felt so kind of like Hitman-esque. I was like, this is awesome. And then all of a sudden it was like all of these different things start spurning. Like, how are you gonna play this? How are you gonna, like, the one guy that I had with me, he had like this bear trap. You'd like fucking throw it on the ground, and a guy would walk up, and you could like whistle, and the guy would like, "Oh, what was that?" And he'd come wandering over and stand in your bear trap. And you're like, ha, ha, ha,
I can't remember.
sucker.
This one's it's turn based, right?
Nope, it's real time. It's you can pause it. So like that's the other thing is like there's situations where like you set up, like there was one situation where like I set it up so the one guy that I needed to murder was getting on a mechanical bull, and he was like jumping on the bull, trying to like, ha ha, I'm awesome at riding the bull. And this other guy was walking back and forth guarding him. And so like I had a situation where I had one guy, so I paused it, and you can set up your moves so that one of the guys would like step out, throw his knife, and kill the one guy, while the other guy launched off the roof onto the guy on the mechanical bull and like took him out. And like that, you could do it so that you could set up the move, but then you could hit continue, and you could wait for them to kind of keep doing whatever it is they're doing, and then you could hit another button that they would like to actually do what you were told them to do. So it's great. It's like, and the thing is like with the quick save function, you're constantly quick saving, and when it doesn't go the way you wanted it to, you just like quickly reload, which all happens, to be fair, I've got like a really fast PC, so it does happen very quickly. But it's great. Like, you're constantly just like loading, and like you're trying all of these different wacky, sometimes it's just wacky shit, and you're like, I don't know if this will work or not, and then it totally does, or it totally doesn't. Or you're like, you get close and you're like, oh, if I just do this thing, so then you reload and you do it again, but you do it slightly different. That game is fucking awesome. Like, seriously.
You got that through Epic Game Store, right?
It is on the Epic Game Store. It's also out on Steam. It was supplied to me for free through my media account. But fuck, that game is awesome. It's seriously so much fun.
I've seen a lot of people talk about it.
It is like for you, because you get it for free, play it.
Yeah,
it is great. It is so much fun.
Just kind of
especially once
right
you start
now,
to.
so.
Once you start to get into like a rhythm and you kind of like start figuring some of it out, it just it's addicting. It's fun.
That's
Just
good.
like messing with people and like seeing like what you can get away with and what you can't. Like I dropped a building on somebody in that same like match, and then in another one, you can like there's like all the different things in the world that you can affect. So like for example, I hid behind the stable in a situation, and one of the bad guys like wandered out, and he was like standing behind a horse, and I smacked the horse's ass and kicked him and killed him, and like just stupid shit like that. And of course, like his buddy comes over and he's like, "Oh, I guess you got too close," ha ha ha, and like wanders off, and you're like, "Oh, don't worry, here's the next buddy."
I
But
thought you
like
were gonna
just
say you smacked the horse's ass again and
oh,
killed the second guy.
he didn't come close enough, or I totally would have. Um, but like there's another situation where like I used a horse and a carriage that was attached to run over a guy, like trampled him. Like there's all of these fun little triggers and stuff, and like some of them it's like you can see that it's something you can mess with, but it's not into like some of them are very like straightforward. You're like, okay, clearly if a guy walks over here, it shows like if I push on this thing's gonna fall, or something like that. But like there was another one where I had to try and infiltrate the brothel where like the one girl was
Yeah.
that we wanted
What?
to murder. She was like the brothel lady, the madam, if you will,
There
of the
you go.
house. And so she was like upstairs, and like she was all surrounded by all these guys, and like there was people constantly moving and doing their thing. But like I realized that there was a cellar, and one of her lackeys kept going down and getting her whiskey. So I went down to the cellar and I like threw a little something something in the whiskey, and then she got sick, and so then she ran down to the bathroom, and I popped out of the cabinet in the bathroom and I murdered her that way. And
Nice.
like so like
This is
there's all
totally
these,
Hitman.
like I said, it's like a third or a asymmetrical Hitman. It's fucking rad. It's so good. So yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with that. I've been like thinking about it a lot when I'm not playing it, which is
That's always a
kind
good
of
testament.
bad and good, I
Yeah,
guess. Like,
when you think about a game when
you
you're
know.
not playing it is always a good thing. Means you want to
So,
be playing it.
right. So yeah, so it's cool. And like there's other, you have your guns and your other weapons and stuff that you can do. There's cool systems in there for like you can slow down time and do like quick shootouts, and like if you want to go cowboy. But of course that all makes noise, right? And when you make noise, people are going to come either running, and so on, right? So it's this, like I said, it's like totally like a Hitman style game, but you're seeing more of the play field, so you can kind of try, and it's cool. It's really, really cool.
Neat.
Highly recommend. So that's what I've
Um,
been playing.
I guess that's it for what you've been playing. Shall we get into some news, Dane?
That seems like a good idea.
The news and stuff.
And stuff.
Did we miss the Cyberpunk thing last week, right?
I can't remember. Did it happen on? I think it happened on Thursday, like the day after we recorded. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and we record. Yeah. I think so. I think you're right.
Yeah, because that was the 25th. Yeah.
So Cyberpunk looks rad. There's not much to add there. The
No.
videos out there for you to watch if you want to see more stuff. I'm already sold. I don't need to see more. But I guess one of the big stories that kind of came out, not one of the big stories, one of the stories that came out of that event is they announced an anime coming to Netflix,
Yes, I'm so down with that idea.
which looks pretty freaking cool.
Being done by Trigger Studio. Those are the guys that did Kill la Kill, Little Witch Academia, and tons of other anime. But yes,
The
I
only
am so on board with
disappointing
that.
thing about this announcement is it's not coming for like another 2 years.
Yeah,
Ugh.
2022.
It's like, really?
That's a ways away. It's
Maybe
called
that's when the
Cyberpunk.
game actually comes out because they're going to delay it again.
So it's called Cyberpunk Edge Runners. That's what the name of the anime. Yeah,
That's a
I
neat announcement.
I still want to. I would love to see a Witcher anime. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the Witcher 3 like movie or series.
show.
It's rad as hell. But man, I feel like as an anime, it would be fucking so good.
Yeah, they could do some pretty cool stuff if there was an anime.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But this,
that was
I'm
neat.
down. I'm absolutely down with this.
We're gonna have more episodes of that Night City Wire cyberpunk like kind of show before the game comes out. Obviously, probably a couple more episodes than they were anticipating since the game has been delayed a couple months now. That we didn't miss. That was announced last week. And just this story came from Eurogamer and Tom Phillips. So that's cool.
Yeah.
I just gotta rewind a little bit because chat was talking about Amazon Prime, and it just reminded me of that Boys teaser that someone posted on the Discord. Jesus Christ, I forgot how violent that show is.
Yeah.
That show's awesome too. I really freaking like that.
Should read the comic.
Yeah, but that's one of my favorite things I've seen on Amazon Prime is season 1. Like,
oh, dude,
that show is
so many
good.
good shit on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, that justifies the bone. Like, to be honest, no one just subscribes to Amazon Video. You just get it with your Prime subscription. But
Of course.
I think season 2 is supposed to be out by now. Honestly, I think it might have got pushed back because of all this bullshit going on.
Yeah.
I think so. I feel like but it's coming in September. There's a very not safe for work season 2 teaser on the Discord.
Speaking of Amazon Prime, fucking watch Good Omens already. Jeez, man.
I forgot about that one too.
Talking about shit you haven't watched yet. Fuck, that show is so good. And it's short. It's like 6 episodes,
The
man.
Boys
Like,
is really good.
just
I've
do
been watching
yourself a
Ozark
favor.
with my wife. Sorry. That show's pretty good too.
Man,
It's fucked
tell
up.
you.
Anyway, back on track. News.
Yeah.
Twitch bans Dr. Disrespect. Hallelujah.
Fucking time.
I don't know. I don't mean to be like a hater, but like so this story comes from Kotaku by Nathan Grayson. Today, out of the blue, Twitch suspended massively popular streamer guy Dr. Disrespect Beam, a ban that multiple sources tell Kotaku is permanent. Like, his channel's gone. Apparently they refunded like all his subs for like the last month. So like anyone who subbed to him. So that's pretty serious indication that that it's permanent, because they normally don't do that. They don't do that on a temporary ban.
It's interesting though, because like I do want to point out, like, this whole thing is very strange. Like, Twitch right now isn't even admitting that they've banned him. Like, they're not saying why they banned him. He has come forward and said that Twitch has not told him why he's banned. He didn't say he didn't know why he was banned. He just said that Twitch hasn't told him why he's banned. It's all very strange.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, they've also revoked his partner status. Like, to me, like, personally, I feel like there's an awful lot of reasons why he could have been banned and why he should have been banned years before this. But I am of the mind that, like, all he did was create a toxic community and sent them, like, sick them on people. Like,
oh yeah,
just
his
the
community
toxicity it was like of him and just his
he
persona, if you will. It just
he
man.
was, more often than not, he was doing racist, stereotypical like jokes and stuff and playing it off like, oh, it's Dr. Disrespect shtick. That's not me. And it's like, you're not an actor. You're a fucking streamer. Like, still.
Like, I understand he's got like his shtick or whatever, and like that is his stick, but I just like I don't. All you're doing is creating like tons of
little followers that think that's okay. Think it's
hilarious.
Like
it's I don't know.
Anyway,
the way that
people suspected that he tripped a wire in Twitch's increasingly aggressive DMCA detection system, but that doesn't appear to be the case. Industry insider and journalist Rod Slasher Breslau said on Twitter that according to his sources, the ban is permanent. Streamer Shannon Z Killa Plant said she'd heard the same from her own sources, adding that the issue is serious. 3 sources close to Twitch have told Kotaku that the ban is permanent as well. So that's the thing.
So I wonder, in a situation like this, like, he signed some big deal.
They gave him,
like,
that's the thing. They gave him a bunch of money to be exclusive prior to this.
Right, like back in March, what was it, like the rumor was like it was somewhere in the range of $30 million to be there, like to stream exclusively on
Jesus.
Twitch. So like, how does this work now? Like, does he get paid out for like X amount while he was streaming, and then the I mean, I can only imagine the contract must be terminated after
Oh yeah,
that.
I'd imagine the
He,
contract's terminated. Hopefully they didn't pay him. I don't
I
even,
can't imagine they would. Like
I just,
Twitch's lawyers aren't that stupid, right?
so like, at first it was funny and it was great. He had a shtick. He was a little different. He was like cocky, competitive esports like guy,
Uh huh.
and then he turned into something else, and then it just became not funny. And like I used to be entertained by him, but like I had seen him change over time, and then I just couldn't stand watching him. And like we said, even worse, like his community got pretty bad. And the thing is though that really the kind of thing that pisses me off is like, yeah, they banned him, but they were fine. Everybody was fine working with him the whole time, knowing he was a fucking asshole, pitching their keyboards and their monitors and their computers and their laptops and their products because he was the hot shit. And it didn't matter that he was a fucking asshole with a crappy community. And that's what makes me more mad about anything is like, he should have been banned a long time ago, but because he was the biggest ad pusher, seller, mover of like, CPMs and units and crap that these guys all that they don't give a shit about the content. It's how many ads can they sell against this crap. At the end of the
Sure.
day, they almost don't give a crap
I
until
mean,
they
they're making
literally
money
show
off
up
him,
on
right?
stream with the dead body, and then it's like, oh crap, and then everyone's like, dust clouds. But it's like it's almost like some of the brands that associate with these douchebags should be held accountable. Like they're almost just as guilty for like funding these asses and these fucking crappy communities and bad actors. And
Yeah.
they should be people should remember that. Oh yeah, he's a Logitech partner. I'm not buying Logitech keyboards because they support a racist or they support a you know whatever
Well, and that's why
whatever
a bunch of his
shtick or
sponsors
crime or
over the
whatever
last
thing these.
while,
Pardon?
have been a bunch of his sponsors and stuff pulled out, right?
Yeah, but
That
they
was,
were, they were all. But the thing is, everyone's fine with it until they get caught with the fucking blood on their hands. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And they all know stuff's going on, and they all like that's the gross thing is everyone's cool with it until it gets to a point. You know?
Everybody talks about how much money they're making off of putting their ads on YouTube until they realize that their ads are or that their products running before, during, and after some right wing like pro-Nazi video or something like that, and
Yeah.
then suddenly everybody's like, "Whoa, what
Anyway,
are we
I
doing on
it
YouTube?"
would be
You
really
know?
interesting to see what ends up happening. Like, is it really serious? Is he going to be going to jail? Like, is it just like it's just is this the hashtag Me Too for the streaming and gaming industry? Right? No one that that's the thing is this is the new generation of celebrity. They should be held to a higher bar and a higher standard. And they absolutely, like I said a couple of weeks ago, if you're breaking the law or doing really disgusting shit, man, you should be canceled. I don't give a shit. I hate cancel culture, but if you're guilty of actually doing something bad, I think there's totally nothing wrong with you being canceled.
Well, I mean,
Like,
one could argue that literally last year at E3 when he was streaming in the
oh, yeah, broke the
bathroom, that
law
is
from the
literally
bathroom.
against the
Yeah,
law, right?
they just
Like
gave him a slap on the wrist because I remember last year we were saying Twitch didn't have the balls to punish these guys because I think Twitch feels like without these guys they would be nowhere, but it looks like they actually put on their big boy pants and don't want to be associated with that, or someone higher up has gotten more involved hands on with Twitch and being like, hey, you fucking guys can't let this shit slide. Like this isn't like your little boys club because you idolize your streamers that they could bend rules, you know what I mean? But
yeah,
it's been a reckoning. Like he's one of the biggest ones. That's hilarious. And there's rumors people were saying he was trying to launch another streaming service and he was rounding up like other
that is so
streamers.
nonsense.
Pardon?
That's such nonsense. Like, why on earth would you create? Why would you sign a multi-year deal with Twitch to stream exclusively on their platform worth
Well, who
literally
knows
tens of
if he
millions of
got paid
dollars?
up front and he knew he was gonna
I
bounce.
guarantee you he did not. I guarantee you it was like you get paid as you play the game,
I hope
not,
you know what. I hope he didn't, but at the same time, Twitch giving him that much money makes them look just like assholes too.
Yeah. So, anyways, ultimately, we don't really know what happened. All we know is that right now he's off the platform, and Twitch isn't really saying anything.
I'm sure.
Um,
I'm sure we'll find out.
at some point, yeah. So,
Um,
like I said,
I
good
think we
riddance.
might have talked about this last week, and I might accidentally put this in here again. But Bloodstained Curse of the Moon comes out July 10th. It sounds familiar now that I say it out loud.
So we talked about that it was coming. I don't know that it had a like an official
Did it not
date
have a
when we
release
talked
date?
about it.
Okay. Well, the
Yeah.
story from Gamatsu and Sal Romano. That's what more can you say? July 10th. Buy it. That game's freaking awesome. The first one was awesome. I'm sure the second one will be awesome.
Yes, and this
Uh,
is the like 8-bit style, like
Castlevania.
retro Castlevania
Yeah.
esque type.
This next story from Polygon, now dated. Ubisoft's new battle royale shooter Hyperspace leaks online. This story from Charlie Hall on Polygon. Well, it's more than leaked. It was basically revealed today with a bunch of streamers playing it, doing the same kind of thing that they did with Valorant, with watch the streams to earn a drop to get beta access.
I had a sneaky suspicion when Valorant did that, and it
Oh,
seemed to be wildly successful. That
that's
was a thing that we were going to start to see from now on, and
yeah.
here we are.
That's pretty much gonna be the norm from here on out. Is that we're gonna have these watch the stream, earn drops, get in the beta.
I mean,
I
I understand why, you're getting eyeballs on your game, you're getting people talking about your game, because already like the game came out today, and there was already stories 300,000 people are watching this game, and you're just
Yeah.
like, wow, like really?
I
So
watched probably watched about half hour of it. I will not play it. Nothing about it appealed to me. I thought it looked
yeah.
very generic, like sci-fi. Um,
I'm super curious to see whether or not the markets can sustain another
I
like
think
serious
I think
battle
everyone,
royale,
yeah,
because I feel like between PUBG, Apex, Fortnite, and then you've like those are your sort of tent poles. We were talking about this on the Discord earlier today.
yeah,
Like there's a few other fairly big ones as well. But then you got a few of the niche style games that are smaller, but they have their audience. But like honestly, like you're seeing some more of these games come out, and it's like they're not doing well. Like they're coming out and they're kind of disappearing. Like we've already seen several that were announced, and hey, check this out, and now they're gone. Or they are shutting down, right?
yeah. Or
And I just
Crucible,
wonder,
like going
like,
back, going backwards, back into beta.
well, we'll get. Oh, do we not put that on
No,
here?
I didn't put that
Okay.
out. There's nothing to talk about.
Um,
Crucible came out and it flopped, and it's gonna go away.
yeah, it flopped. So I mean, and it wasn't even a battle royale. It was like, you know, it was like a hero shooter that just seemed real bad. So I'm curious to see like if this actually will get any legs and will like have like get people to actually play it after you know the initial wave of streamers are no longer streaming it, and it's not like the thing that everybody wants to play just because it's exclusive. I'll be very curious to see if that happens.
Yeah, I I watched it for a bit, and I'm just like, it did nothing for me. I
Yeah,
I'll be honestly, I'll be surprised if it finds a spot.
yeah, I guess time will tell. We'll see. um
Uh, good luck. I wish them good luck.
yeah, for sure, for sure. We'll
Um,
we'll see as time goes on.
this next story from Eurogamer by Tom Phillips. 3 years later, Fortnite finally loses early access label.
It's coming out, guys. It's coming out.
Fortnite's finally coming out. The largest game that was in closed beta, the hardest game to get into to play, that nobody was playing.
Yeah.
It was so tightly held under wraps in closed beta. Yeah. Anyway, it hasn't been in early access for like years, so that's kind of funny.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
pretty funny.
Not much to add to this besides wow.
No.
Uh, Andy McNamara, is that how you say it?
Andy McNamara.
Andy Mac leaves Game Informer after 29 years. The story from Game Industry Biz, Brendan Sinclair. Game Informer,
It's the end of an era, man.
yeah.
Holy shit.
Game Informer
Holy shit.
editor-in-chief Andy McNamara today announced he's leaving the outlet after 29 years. McNamara has been with Game Informer since the first issue of the magazine ran in 1991. He said his next role will be still be in games, but he's leaving games journalism. Parent company GameStop issued a press release to mark the news. Andy's been with Game Informer from its humble beginnings as a bi-monthly magazine with 60,000 subscribers, said Chief Customer Officer Frank Hamlin. Under his editorial leadership, the publication became the world's leading source for the latest in video game news, a subscription base of millions of subscribers. For nearly 3 decades, he has built a loyal fan base by dedicating himself to proving gaming fans access to the most exclusive video game news, reviews, previews, and podcasts across Game Informer's digital and print editions.
I will say, Jeff at Giant Bomb on this week's Bombcast had a fucking killer. Just, they were talking about this news. Obviously, he's known Andy just about the entire time that he was, at Game Informer. So he's known him a very long time, and just like hearing him talk about those early days and just the times and stuff it's pretty killer. It was a pretty cool send off. Just like I said, like I've followed Andy. Like I used to subscribe to Game Informer when I was younger, and it was actually sort of relevant. I don't want to say it's not relevant anymore, because like there's not that many game like magazines that are like still actually published. So like there's a part of me that when I see them, I still kind of want to like buy them just for that. Like growing up, like video game magazines were like, I fucking loved them. Like they were amazing. Like they were way too expensive, but like I always convinced my parents if we were on a road trip or, if I was in the hospital, which unfortunately was a lot when I was growing up. But like, man, like those video game magazines, and Game Informer was definitely one of them, and then they got bought by GameStop. And, when you had a game, one of the things was like, if you were an Edge member, you got the subscription to Game Informer, and it was amazing.
You got the magazine subscription for free.
Yeah. Like it was so awesome, so every month having those Game Informers show up, like I said, he's one of the OG, like, of the industry. Like he's been around for so long, one of the few that's still in the industry that's been to every E3. Just cool stuff.
I never ran into him at an event, whether it be E3 or PAX. He's just like one of those media people I had never run into.
I bumped into him at PAX was it 2 or 3 years ago?
Yeah.
Briefly, I introduced myself, said hi. That was kind of it.
I heard great things. The industry loves him. Apparently, he's a video game loving, just nice dude.
Dude, he's the nicest guy. Like I said, I only met him the one time, but he was super nice. Took the time to chat. It's cool. It was cool.
That's the thing. I think guys like him and Greg kind of ruin it for a lot of other people, and that they're so personable and so nice, and they like, if they're the first person you've ever met in the industry, kind of set a bad bar, because most people aren't like them.
Yeah, I think it depends though too. You also have to understand, like, Andy hasn't really been like a face of anything. Like he's been the editor-in-chief of Game Informer. He's been in video games for a long time, and it's only in the last several years that he's started being on podcasts and being in front of a camera. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like Jeff, for example, from Giant Bomb, Jeff Gertzman, like he's always been I shouldn't say always, but he's been a face for years. Like he was on GameSpot back in like the late 90s, early 2000s as like, he was on camera. He was one of the personalities. He was one of the original personalities in that video game industry. Whereas like Andy was always a lot more in the background. And the thing was too, is like being at Game Informer, they were freaking out in Minnesota. Like they're so far disconnected in a weird way to the games industry that all generally happens in California or in New York, right? Like how much of the games industry and how many of those, IGN, GameSpot, there's a reason all those guys are located in San Francisco, because that's where, especially all through the 90s and the 2000s and stuff, like California and in those areas, that's where all the video game development was happening, right?
That's where all the media PR companies are for sure.
But that's also where a ton of studios are.
Yeah, there's a lot of studios there.
Right, but that's also Sony's headquarters. That's also where, obviously not Microsoft because they're up in Seattle, well, Bellevue, but like, you know what I mean, right? Like there were tons of that. So meanwhile, he's out in Minnesota, like doing Game Informer.
Yeah, well, Game Informer is big enough that they brought stuff to them. So
sure, well, especially because like there was a time where print was like, they were like, if you were doing print, you were considered like a higher tier than if you were doing like online stuff, right? Like,
yeah,
for a long time, like if you were doing online stuff, nobody cared. They were like, who gives a shit about your like shitty online website? Like,
yeah,
these guys are over here doing like print, like magazine, like this is, and like
the old media,
right? And how the times have changed, right?
The old guard.
So, but either way,
that's good for him. It'll be interesting to see where he ends up.
I'm super curious because, like super curious to see kind of what he's up to now. He has said he's going to be moving to LA, still going to be in games, but he hasn't really specified where or what he's doing. So, be cool. But like I said, definitely feels like the changing of a guard.
Well, he's one, like, that's the thing. It's like, he's like, what would you say, like the Dan Rather of freaking video games? Like he's like one of the oldest in the industry. Like him and Jeff Keighley are like they're like guys that have been to every E3. They've been to E3 before E3 existed, when it was just a bad parking lot offshoot at CES. They are literally like legends.
Lucas, he's also been around for a bajillion years. From the Canadian side of things, but
I screwed up. Yeah, like in the 90s, I really should have gotten to video games.
That's the crazy thing though. Is like those were all the guys, growing up, like reading magazines and like, because like obviously Andy didn't start at Game Informer as the top. Like he was a writer, right? Like I remember reading his reviews and like, so yeah, it's a weird thing because obviously like he was older than I was, like Jeff and him and stuff. They're a little older than I am, but like still definitely like I remember growing up with all those guys and stuff, and so it's they definitely
I was still in high school and those guys were like opening the doors into gaming.
Yeah,
or gaming media.
Like I said, this week on the Bombcast, like I'm sure you'll listen to it, but like Jeff, listening back to some of the cool stories that Jeff had about going to CES and Andy like buying him drinks when he was underage, and like it's just good stuff. It's good stuff. So yeah.
Anyways. Our next story: Amazon's making a Fallout TV series with the creators of Westworld. The story from Eurogamer by Matt Wales. Amazon's teaming up with the creators of hit sci-fi show Westworld to adapt Bethesda's long-running post-apocalyptic RPG series Fallout for television. A tease for the new series was posted on Amazon Studios' Twitter feed earlier today, and more substantial details have since been reported by The Hollywood Reporter. According to the website, Westworld series creator Lisa Joy and Jonah Nolan will oversee the project. Amazon signed a 5-year deal, with the duo's Kilter Films to produce new shows for its Prime Video streaming service last year, although no writer is currently attached. Probably going to be Gary Whitta. I really like Fallout.
Cross our fingers.
I think Fallout would make a neat TV series.
I think it has the potential to be really good.
Yeah. If it's got Westworld level investment,
I think you have to have proper money, and I think you also have to like you can't PG it, like, if that makes sense.
No,
Like,
yeah, you definitely
you got to
can't,
do it,
because
like, you got to do a proper, like, R, like Fallout
Fallout's
is ruthless
yeah.
and brutal, and you gotta be able to, like, play with all that properly.
I don't think I would have ever guessed that this was something that was coming, so it was kind of neat.
Honestly, to me, it feels like one of the better sort of quote unquote video game properties that to me would make like an easier
Yeah,
transition
because
to
Fallout
like
would
media.
it would really work well for like a Monster of the Week kind of thing. That
Yeah,
post-apocalyptic world, because
or it
yeah,
would just be easy to do like a journey, right? Like you
yeah,
do a
like
series, like
this
a
is,
season, and it's like, okay, well, you start off the season with leaving the vault, and
and
you know
then
what
you
I
have
mean?
the
Like
run-ins
you
with all
can
the different factions.
and just how that works out for you, like what does the world look like? How does, like it's just very. And from there, you can have like all the side stuff where you end up in this town, and this town's full of fucking cannibals, and they want to
Yeah,
eat you. And
you
like
can do some
that
neat.
episode is you trying to get the fuck out of there, and like you know what I mean. Like there's very easy ways for them to kind of meander on and kind of be that wanderer. You know
You
what I
could
mean?
do like unusual amount, like not an unusual amount. You could do like flashbacks to like before the vault, stuff like that.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah, it could be cool.
So the run-ins with the different factions and no,
Um,
it's yeah.
this next story from Polygon. Here's the first sign that next gen games might get a price hike.
Oh yeah, I saw
Dun,
this.
dun, dun. NBA 2K publisher 2K Sports revealed a new pricing strategy for NBA 2K21 on Thursday that could indicate a shift in video game prices for the next generation of consoles. On September 4th, players can pick up NBA 2K21 on Google Stadia, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, Windows PC, and Xbox One for the typical $59.99 price. Later in the year, a new version of NBA 2K21 will be released on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X as a launch title, but 2K Sports won't offer a free next-gen upgrade like many other publishers of cross-generation games. Instead, the company will sell the next-gen version separately for $69.99, $10 more than the standard video game price that has been in effect for the past 15 years over 2 full console generations.
Or you buy the NBA 2K21 Mamba Forever Edition for $100. And that includes dual access to both the current and next gen versions.
Oh, sweet.
Allowing players to upgrade within the PlayStation or Xbox families, of course, in addition to a bunch of other in-game goodies.
I guess if you can't wait a couple months and need to play it right away, that's the version you're going to get. But it's weird that it doesn't have smart delivery. It kind of sucks that it's more expensive, but I don't know. To be honest, they've been alluding for a while now that games are going to get a little more expensive. Games
are expensive to make, man. And game prices haven't increased since what, PlayStation 2 days? Man,
instead of $79 plus tax,
in Canada,
which is already basically $90 after tax, it's going to be $89. It's basically $100 a game, like a new AAA game. Like,
oh yeah, us here in Canada, a dollar being as crappy as it is, we're gonna get boned hard on that. I mean, in this particular case, it doesn't really matter because I'm not gonna play 2K21 anyways. So that's a game that, like, to me, I'm like, whatever. I have mixed feelings about this because, like, on one hand, I don't want to see my video games get more expensive because they're already an expensive hobby. Like, brand new games to buy on day one, they're pricey. But at the same time, I understand, like, games are expensive to make and they're only getting more expensive and taking longer and so on and so forth. And, like, unlike other types of media, it's, they release a game and that's kind of it. Which is why we keep trying to see them do, DLC and microtransactions. We're trying to see studios be able to release games, but also make more money off of them because they're trying to recoup that cost, right? Other media, like a movie releases and it releases in the theater. So the idea is hopefully they make their money back right there and then. But then if they don't, it's going to get released on pay-per-view. and they're going to make a bunch of their money back on pay-per-view. And if it doesn't make their money back on pay-per-view, they're still going to do a home release, and it's going to release on DVD and Blu-ray and so on. And then they're going to make some money back there. And that's going to be out there for a long, long time. And then they're going to make a streaming deal. And you know what I mean? Like there's multiple avenues for them to make money and continue to make money off of like a movie, for example. And books are a similar thing, right? Whereas like video games, it's like the publisher and the studio, like they make money off of that initial sale, and that's it.
The initial release is also where they make the biggest amount of money and
right
up front. So
like obviously if the game has a long tail, that's great for them. You know, like they're still gonna continue to make money off of like copies being sold, but ultimately that's kind of it, right? Which is why we've been seeing them trying to figure out ways, right?
But I remember paying like back in the day, like when Street Fighter came out on Super Nintendo, it was $100 cartridge.
So that's the crazy thing. So Street Fighter, like, so the Super Nintendo and the Genesis here in Canada, games were like $79, $89, and some of them, like you said, were $100. I remember that as well, and I was like, holy shit! Like, and then at some point when we made the transition to like the PlayStation 1 and the PlayStation 2, it was like games suddenly became $59, $69.
Now, clearly discs are cheaper than cartridges, but at the same time they never went up. They just stayed the same.
They just stayed there. So like I said, I don't want to see, like, I don't think anybody wants to see games prices go up because that's shitty. But at the same time, like, you know, I understand if they need to. That said, this feels kind of gross when everybody else is kind of coming out saying like, hey guys, don't worry, you know, buy the new Assassin's Creed and play it on your PlayStation 4 and your Xbox Series, you know, Xbox One. And then when the new consoles come out, you know, you'll get the upgraded version. Don't worry about it. And then for 2K to, like, for them to come in and just be like, nope, not only are we not going to do that, if you want to play the new ones, you're going to have to pay the full price and then $10 more. It feels shitty. It's not a good feeling. It suddenly makes EA's idea of like being able to buy them, and even if you could only upgrade them for a year, that's still, they still look better than this. So
yeah,
I guess we'll see what happens.
I'm pretty sure games are going to go up in price. This next story from VentureBeat. Not VentureBeat. Yeah, it's VentureBeat.
Yeah.
Evo 2020 canceled.
Yeah, this was like happening like literally
as we were unfolded
up
today. It started this story from Mike Minotti. Evo is the biggest fighting game event of the year. This year's show had to go online due to the pandemic, but now it too is canceled after companies and competitors pulled out after recent sexual abuse scandals about the tournament's organizer came to light. Joey Collar was the president of Evo.
The president of Evo.
He had been accused of preying on young boys. Jesus Christ.
During the 90s and the 2000s.
2000s. Evo announced Wednesday that it had put, how do you say that again?
Collar
on
an administrative
leave. And then today
leave.
revealed that he is gone from the organization outright.
Yeah.
There's a big statement, which I'm not going to read, but I guess Capcom pulled out. They're like, Capcom was the first major to announce it was leaving the show.
Yeah.
Taking Street Fighter with it, which is a huge loss. NetherRealm, besides Mortal Kombat 11, followed along, and then Tekken 7's Bandai Namco and Sonic Fox also announced he would not participate in the show, and a couple commentators as well. And then Dunzo.
Yep. So
yikes.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Why are people so crappy?
Yeah, and then on top of that, there was like a whole bunch of gross allegations that came out of the Super Smash Brothers community, which, like, today was a rough day for fighting game tournaments and stuff.
I don't know. Yikes.
Yep.
So. I was always intrigued of Evo and checking out an Evo, but I guess that's never going to happen now.
Well, we'll see. This was obviously their online, right? Like Evo had said that they were going to do like an online show, et cetera, which is obviously not happening anymore.
That the funny thing is, like, they've removed that person, and for everyone to pull
Yeah.
out, do you think they're gonna like want to be associated with Evo next year?
So I will. I'm not going to read this entire thing, but they do say effective immediately. Joey will no longer be involved with Evo in any capacity. We are currently working towards his complete separation from the company and have relieved him of all responsibilities. So Tony Cannon will act as CEO in this position. He will be taking a leadership role in prioritizing greater accountability across Evo, both internally and at our events. So like, so essentially they're saying like, look, we're really like, this is a, hopefully as a result, we will be canceling Evo Online and we will work to issue refunds for all players who chose to purchase a badge. We will donate the equivalent of the proceeds as promised to Project Hope. Which is at least cool that they're, even though it's not happening, they're still going to be doing that. So we'll see. Obviously this, if they can get their shit together and make sure that, this individual is no longer in any way, shape, or form associated with
Yeah,
Evo.
they got a lot of work, man.
Yep.
I have a feeling Evo might be done ski.
Yeah, time will tell. Time will tell.
Moving along. PS2, moving to Sony news. PS2 hack runs games on burned DVD discs. No mod chip required.
Wow, this is only how many years?
Yeah, I just thought it was a neat story because
it is super cool.
Basically, this story is from Kotaku by Luke Plunkett. Building on an idea he's had since he was a kid, security software engineer C. Turt has developed a way for people to play unofficial games on a PS2 console by burning them onto a DVD alongside an exploit.
Yeah,
there's a video if you're down for the big long technical.
It's a pretty cool
post, but if
video
if you don't
demo,
want to watch the video, too long didn't read version, he basically created a way of exploiting the console's DVD player functionality by triggering a corruption in video playback and then running a game through the resulting hole blown in the system's copy protection. Why does he do this? Because all you need to do is insert the disc the same way you launch any other PS2 game. You don't need to get a mod chip. You don't need a special USB exploit. You just put the disc in and you can play fresh code without changing anything else about the console.
Yep.
They're playing a Super Nintendo. He demonstrates a Super Nintendo emulator and a backup copy shot of Colossus. I just thought that was kind of neat because the PS2, from what I remember, was a pretty nasty mod chip.
Yeah, the interesting thing about this is that while this at the end of the article here, this clearly works on a PS2, he theorized that the same exploit, or at least the same principle, might also work on everything from a PlayStation 1 all the way up to a PS4 as well.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that Sony and him will be having a conversation
about if he wants one of those bug bounty checks.
Yeah. So very interesting.
Just neat. I have a mod chip in my PS2 because I used to import Japanese games.
I do not have a mod chip in my PS2.
When I ran the video game store back in the 90s, we always used to bring in a lot of the Square games really early.
Yep.
To show off and kind of like get pre-orders for when the North American versions came out.
Right.
So I had a mod chip. I think it still works. I don't know. My PS2's been in a box for a really long time.
I'm looking at my PS2 right now. It's sitting up on a shelf. I've even got the network adapter plugged in. Oh yeah. Get that good network
adapter. PlayStation is the only console that I have all my consoles still. Like I have my PS1, my PS2, I got a new PS3 with a working DVD drive. Did I tell that story yet? I haven't told that story, have I?
I mean, you told the story about how you went to play a PS3 game and your PS3 drive was dead.
Yeah. I ended up buying a used PS3 online, and it came with a steering wheel and a bunch of shit that I didn't need. So I ended up selling all the crap on like Facebook Marketplace that I didn't need any of that shit.
Right.
Like, between the controller and the steering wheel and the games that came with it, I ended up basically getting the replacement PS3 for free. So I still have my broken one. And I went through all
That's
of
funny.
that to play this Toy Story Mania game, which is not really that. It's not the same
I
as
was
the.
just gonna say, is it not a very good game?
It's not the same as the ride. It's disappointing.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah. This
Fair
next
enough.
story from Gamatsu. Dreams adds PlayStation VR support on July 22nd. This is more.
Okay, I'm glad I'm not crazy because like I've been hearing like we played Dreams in VR at freaking PAX, and then
Did we?
everybody was like, yeah, and then
You did.
we were
I didn't.
talking
I
about
didn't play it in VR.
yeah, and then we were talking about this on the show, and you were like, wait, Dreams has VR? I'm like, yeah, like they were talking like so apparently now it's being added July 22nd. Um, gives you another reason to pull out your VR with your wands, man.
No. By the time you're listening to this, Iron Man VR gives you a reason to pull out your VR.
Mm, maybe.
Um, this next story from IGN. Joe Scrubbles. PlayStation Indies Initiative announced today. They revealed 9 games. Um, there's a link in the show notes. So I'm not going to go over all these games. There's trailers for everything, but basically, Fist, Forged in Shadow Torch, Maquettes, Where the Heart Is, Creeks, Heavenly Bodies, Recompile,
Thought you
Car-
weren't gonna go through the whole list.
Cardo, Haven, Worms Rumble. I said I was gonna go through the whole list. I'm not gonna break down every individual
Oh,
game.
okay.
It's a bunch of indie games. They all look really cool. Sony's like really, I guess, partnered up to give these guys some promotion. I don't necessarily know that some of these are also on PC, but I guess they're PlayStation exclusive.
Yeah, I don't know if I feel like they didn't necessarily say, they more or less just said like these games are coming to PS4 and PS5. It's all part of the IGN summer of gaming, right? So this was kind of like Sony coming out and saying like, "Hey guys, don't worry. It's like we support our indies as we always have. Here's a little taste of a bunch of stuff that's upcoming." Um,
Yeah,
so
I don't think it had anything to do with the summer of gaming. That's just the Bugs Next trailer has that.
some of the games will be coming to other platforms besides PlayStation, says right there
Yeah.
from Yoshida.
So check out the link if you want to see what those games are. A couple of them look kind of cool.
Yeah, some neat looking stuff.
For everyone out there saying Sony's given up on indies, they're too popular, too big, too powerful, don't care about the little guy anymore. They still do.
Oh yeah.
Nintendo news: Animal Crossing's getting swimming. Pascal and more. The story from Polygon. While it loads up in my slow ass browser from Michael McWhorter. Time for a dip. Nintendo will release a series of updates for Animal Crossing this summer that will add new and returning features, including the ability to go swimming and diving on your island. This is live now. Apparently, I saw my Twitter feed blow up that people were downloading this.
Oh, okay.
There's a trailer in the show notes if you want to see what that entails. I believe you could have swam in some of the older versions, but I can't remember. I can barely remember
Yeah,
the old Animal
in
Crossing
the
games.
3DS version, you could like you'd get a bathing suit, and then once you like unlock the bathing suit or whatever, you could go swimming. You could swim out, and then there would be like little dark spots that you would dive down, and you'd grab, and you go diving for stuff. Some of it was like starfish, eels, scallops, and enemies, and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah. So that is coming to New Horizons. Yay! I'll probably have something to report on that by next week.
cool.
This next story from Kotaku by Brian Ashcraft. Universal Studios Japan Super Nintendo World's delayed. No!
Because you were going to Japan.
No, this year could F off already. I get this was supposed to open in time. The big thing was this was supposed to be ready for like the Summer Games 2020 in Tokyo.
Yeah,
And that all went
that
to
are
hell.
not happening.
And the world went to hell, and everything sucks. And now Super Nintendo World's canceled. You should just all end it now. No, we shouldn't. I'm just kidding. But I guess obviously because of coronavirus, they don't have a new date. Social distancing will be difficult in the park, they're saying. So, yeah. Universal Studios Japan is not able to predict when Super Nintendo World will open. Looks cool as hell.
It does look neat.
Yeah, I probably won't go to Japan, but I will go to the one in Orlando,
California,
if they eventually
or Florida.
open it.
One day,
Florida. I think.
when it
Yeah,
finally
they're
happens.
gonna do it in Florida and Hollywood. I think, or maybe just Florida. I don't know. I know
Not
it's coming to North America to one of their parks.
Yeah.
This next story from VentureBeat by Jeff Grubb. Microsoft plans to reveal Xbox Lockhart model in August. Microsoft has two next-gen.
There's a lot of these rumors going around right now.
Yeah, Microsoft has two next-gen Xbox systems in the works. It spent months detailing the powerful Xbox Series X, but it isn't talking about the second system at all. As more next-gen hardware and software gets out of the hands of developers, however, more evidence is building to support the existence of the second system, which has the codename Lockhart. So Lockhart's not a surprise. We heard about this eons ago.
The idea was that they were concerned. So, when they started building the Xbox Series X, this is my understanding, was that they were concerned that Sony was going to try and hit the $399 price point again. And they realized that the Xbox Series X wasn't going to do that. They were going to be hitting above that. So they then essentially, it's funny because it's specs wise, it's very similar to a 1X. But essentially it's got the same processor that the Series X has, but it's got a significantly cut down GPU and also less RAM. And the idea being was that Series X would be a 4K machine for people who have 4K TVs, and Lockhart would be a 1080p machine for people who had 1080p TVs and hadn't upgraded to 4K, but still wanted to play the games with. Well, and they wanted the eye candy turned on, right? They still wanted to be able to play with ray tracing turned on and stuff like that. But instead of playing it in 4K, you're playing it in 1080p. And also it allowed them to at least hit a much lower. I'm hearing rumor is that they were planned to undercut the PlayStation 5. Again, this was them assuming that the PlayStation 5 was going to try and hit the $399 mark again.
Yeah.
Rumor was that they were going to try and undercut the PlayStation 5 by $100 and release the Lockhart console at $299 American. Then it sounds like Microsoft realized. Then it sounds like it was a bit of back and forth. Actually, it's by the sounds of it. It sounds like Sony then found out how fast and how beefy the Series X was. So then it sounds like kind of not freaked out, but then they kind of went into a little bit of, oh shit, we need to do better. And then it sounds like that's partly why some of their specs and things like that have been increased to try and hit higher clocks. Which is one of the reasons why they had to go back and redesign the cooling system in the PlayStation 5, and it ended up being quite a bit more money than they originally anticipated, because it sounds like originally when they were kind of aiming for a specific target in order to try and compete with what they thought that the Series X was going to have, they started more or less needing to clock all their silicone higher to try and hit higher clock speeds on the GPU especially. To try and hit a higher teraflop, right? Because they realized that the Series X was going to be hitting, and again, comparing teraflop it's a shitty way to go about it, but it's kind of the only way that we have to go about it. So, if the Series X was going to be 12 teraflops, they needed to get closer to that. And it sounds like originally they were maybe down closer to 8, which it's a fairly significant difference. Yeah. So if they were able to make that up with clock speeds and things like that to get closer to, which it sounds like they're, at 10-ish, then that closes that gap a lot. And then they're hoping, obviously, that their subsystem with all the stuff that we've talked about before kind of makes up some of that other room. So then, of course, when that all happened, it sounds like Microsoft wasn't even sure if they were going to bother with Lockhart because they're Sony, because they figured at that point that the pricing and stuff was going to be very similar on the two next gen consoles, which is probably why they never mentioned anything about Lockhart in the initial reveal. And it sounds like since then, we don't even know if that's still on or it's still not. All we know is that
we still have
there's talk about Lockhart in the actual source code,
yeah,
which makes sense. Like apparently on the dev units, they can essentially put their dev units into like a Lockhart mode, which essentially like downclock, like puts essentially the GPU at a very similar specs to what Lockhart would be shipping at, and it cuts the RAM and so on and so forth. And it more or less just like cuts the machine down to what Lockhart would be hitting. But again, no. My understanding is that they, like the people in the know, is that it was kind of up in the air. Microsoft wasn't really sure if they wanted to try and launch with both, or if they were gonna like scrap Lockhart altogether because they felt like they were gonna be close, like they were gonna be close enough, and they could get close enough in price, and so on and so forth.
yeah.
And now it sounds like Lockhart might be back on.
Yeah, because it
But we don't
disappeared for
really
a while.
know.
They got real quiet. Well, we do have we have the July event for the Series X, and then I guess they'll talk about this thing after. Well, I guess we'll see. It's all rumor.
We'll see. I mean, if true, it's very interesting. I know. I don't know. I've been seeing, like, I think it's a neat idea, and I think for some people, I think it could be a really great system. That said, it does, and I know that some people, if you're building games, you want to build games unfortunately, you're going to build games for the lowest common denominator, which would, instead of being like, that would suddenly become like Lockhart. Which is a little disconcerting. But that being said, like, if you're trying to get games to run in 4K, that is a pretty you can get a game to run very similarly and look very similarly at 1080p with a lot less of a machine. Like, do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like, you do not need a 2080 Ti.
No, you need
to
a
run
quarter
1080p.
of the power. It's a quarter of the resolution, essentially.
Right. So like, so if things are running on Lockhart at like a good frame rate with those specs, then I don't necessarily think that it will, quote unquote, be the lowest common denominator, if you will. But that being said, like, who knows? Like,
Yeah.
you're adding the thing that always worries me is like you're adding another SKU into the mix of like, okay, well, now we have the PlayStation 5 and we have the Xbox Series X, but now we also have the Xbox Series S, or whatever the fuck they're going to call Lockhart. Like, so now you have another, and then you have PC, and like, you know what I mean? Like, now it's another SKU that you got to worry about from a developer, which, as I understand, is not just as easy as you would think it would be. So
Yeah.
But we'll see. I'll be super curious if it happens. Like, could you imagine if they undercut the PlayStation 5 by $100 by releasing this? Like, it would put. I feel like it would either do one of two things. Like, either you would end up having Sony in the middle.
Thing. It's a weaker system than the PS5, so it's like
right. But like, this is what I was gonna say. Right. Like, it's interesting because you're either going to end up with two things. Either it's going to sell like hotcakes and it's going to help people, like, it's going to help your market share like get gobbled up. You're going to have that system at the high end for people that have 4K TVs and they want that best experience. They're going to pay that, and boom. And who knows, that's either the same price or possibly even more than a PlayStation 5. And then you have Lockhart like undercutting the PlayStation 5 by a bunch. It could also mean that people are like, oh, well, the PlayStation 5 is like right in the middle and it does everything I need. You know what I mean? Like, so I can see it. It could go really well for Microsoft, or it could almost in a way backfire on Microsoft, depending on how they price their stuff.
Or if it creates some confusion and people get pissed off thinking like, oh, what? This isn't the good version. This is the junk version.
Totally. Got that new OLED TV, and I bought the $300 console because it was a series or whatever. It was the new hotness for Microsoft, only to find out that it's not made for 4K. It's made for 1080p.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Time will tell.
Time will tell.
Dane, Shall we move into public service announcements?
What do you got?
We've got
Hit me
our
with your best shot.
new games for July with gold. WRC 8,
Woo.
Dunk Lords, Saints Row 2, and Juju. Yikes. I mean, that's a fantastic lineup.
Hey, man, WRC, it's a good game.
That's a good
if you're into rally games.
Everything else,
I mean, Saints Row 2, if you're into backward.
let's
like,
be honest, though. Like, no one has live because they want the free games gold. You have live for the multiplayer, and it's a nice bonus that you get free games. And to be honest, PlayStation and Xbox have been kind of lacking in these freebies lately. But
there's been some good ones. I'm looking back, like January had Celeste, and there's and March had Batman.
More often than not, I'm just kind of like.
I log in. I add them to my account just in case.
Yeah. PlayStation Plus 2020 lineup. Sony's celebrating 10 years of PlayStation Plus by adding a third game. Anyway, we got Rise of the Tomb Raider, NBA 2K20, and Erica.
Oh. And the Epic Game Store game this week is Hue, which is free on the Epic Game Store right now.
EGS.
There was, it's actually funny. There was
spell Hue?
HUE. They had actually announced that they were going to also add Conan Exiles as a free game. And then they announced
there was nudity and stuff in there, and it probably wasn't a good idea.
I mean, they released Grand Theft Auto 5 as a free game.
Well, I guess it's got titties in it.
So, anyways, so then they actually walked that back, and they said after, I don't remember how exactly they worded it, but essentially they said, like, after some consideration, we decided that we're not going to be releasing that as a free game. So, there was a bunch of people. Next week we'll be Killing Floor 2.
Mm-hmm.
So
cool.
So there you go.
And that brings us to our free for all section. Free for all. You watched The Wizard? Like the old school Wizard? Like Fred Savage? Like
hell yeah.
Nintendo Video Game Championship Road Trip? The Wizard?
Hell yeah.
That's hilarious.
It was on TV, and I don't know. It's been, I don't know. It's probably been 25 years since I've seen The Wizard. I can't even
remember. I know I've watched it, but I can't even remember it.
It still holds up kind of well. Like, don't get me wrong. It is not a great movie. Like, you're not gonna watch it and be like, "Oh my god, that was a great movie." Like, no, it's not that. But like a young Christian Slater. He plays the big brother, which is hilarious. Fred Savage being Fred Savage at that age. He was, he's in his prime. Like, it's kind of a weird, like, honestly, it's kind of a weird movie. Like, it starts off super slow and like there's this stuff. And then like the kids just decide like, fuck this shit, I'm out. And so they like take off and they're like going to go to California. And like along the way, they meet some girl and like, then they decide at some point, like, we're going to go to the video game, what do they call it? The video game Armageddon is what it's called in the game.
Show? I can't remember.
Yeah, on the show. And of course, like there's a ton of different video games throughout that they talk about, like there's clips of Shinobi, there's clips with Double Dragon. Of course, there's the infamous Power Glove, like scene.
I just remember
the kid pulls a briefcase open and it's got a Power Glove sitting in like almost like it's in like the velvet, and the kid like picks it up out of the briefcase like it's worth $1 million and like puts it in is like, and everybody's like, whoa, what's that?
Dang, do you want to know a secret?
It's a Power Glove.
No.
Oh.
I had a Power Glove. I had a Power Glove.
Oh.
It was fucking stupid.
It was
so bad. I remember trying to play Punch Out with the Power Glove.
Yes. Oh god, that's like the one. I swear that's like the one game everybody that had a Power Glove tried to play. Was that the pack-in maybe?
I don't think
it's funny because
I don't remember having a pack-in, but it like you had to put these sensors on your TV.
Yeah, it had like the goes across the top and along the side.
Your motion. So this is literally like the first motion controller.
Yeah, and it had the fingers, and then it had the whole controller. And
Yeah,
like,
literally, I just played Punch Out with the controller on the side here, and like
oh, that's so
did stuff
funny.
with my hand with a combination of using the controller.
Yeah.
It was the biggest disappointment
So
ever.
so in the Wizard, he puts on the power glove, and then he uses it to play a driving game by like moving his hand, like his wrists back and like his
Yeah,
arm
you could
back and
do that.
forth, and
Actually, I remember. I
yeah,
think you could do that with Rad Racer.
that's exactly the game he shows on the on the screen. But yeah, so there's, and of course the infamous scene at the end where they pull out, like
Super
the
Mario
unannounced
Brothers
game that nobody even knew about, and which was Super Mario Brothers
3. I
3.
remember my brain exploding when I was a
Yeah,
kid.
I mean the whole thing is kind of a big like tease for Super Mario Brothers 3, right? Because
Yeah,
that was the first time, like the game didn't come out for like
89.
another year after or whatever, right?
I was 14 years old.
Yeah, because the Wizard came out in
89.
'89. And I think, when did Super Mario Brothers 3 come out? In like 1990, I want to say.
I have no idea.
Pretty sure it came out the following year. Um,
Probably. I don't think it was out yet.
no, it was not. I remember
Yeah,
specifically
because
that,
that was a big
like,
thing, right?
yeah, yeah.
Super Mario
So,
Brothers 3. I'll tell you in a second here.
oh no, I lied. That was it. It came out in '88, October
88.
23rd. I wonder if that was Japan though. Hold on. I
91.
wonder.
90. North
Okay, yeah, that makes
America in
sense.
1990.
There you go. So
Then
yeah, so the Wizard was out in '89, and so in North America, Super Mario Brothers came out after. So like I said, it hadn't even been released here yet.
wow, it came
Um,
out in Japan like 2 years before. Wow.
welcome to the Nintendo in the '80s and the '90s,
Remember
man.
the giant lag we used to have between
Oh
Japanese and
yeah,
North American releases? Man, that's pretty sweet that that doesn't really exist anymore.
yeah,
It does, but not so bad as it used to.
yeah, it's a lot better than it used to.
Now that stuff's kind of like developed around worldwide releases.
Yeah, but
So,
no,
what did you
it was
watch that
fun.
on?
Like
Sorry.
sorry.
What was it? You said it was on TV. That's right. Never mind.
Yeah, it was on like was it the channel? It's like the Rewind. It's the channel's called Rewind. Anyways, it was on there. And I caught it, and so we watched it. And
Nice.
that I forgot how, like, the one thing I will say is the end of that movie is fucking touching. Like essentially the last scene in that movie. It's like, as a as an older adult that we've already confirmed is a big baby now. The end of that movie was like, it fucking hit me in the feels hard. I was surprised. I did not anticipate it. I didn't see it coming. It was just like, holy shit, I forgot all about this. It's good. It's good. But no, it was fun. It held up surprisingly well. Like, it's super campy, it's super cheesy.
Yeah.
It was fun. So
Cool.
yeah, little throwback.
I didn't watch any movies. No, just Ozark and Ghost of Tsushima, which I can't talk about, besides the fact that I'm playing it.
We've already established that.
Lots of Ghost of Tsushima. Lots.
Shut up, dick.
Just come over to my house.
Ah,
Actually, I think
it's a
I'd be
long way
breaking
to
embargo
go.
if I let people watch me play it.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't think it actually says anything about that. But it does actually say I'm not allowed to share my account. They really stress that this
Yep.
cannot be redeemed on any accounts that are shared across multiple consoles. I'm like, oh, you guys have never said
Yep.
that before.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But
So,
anyway, we'll talk about it soon enough.
yep.
Remember, I didn't blink the entire episode.
Okay.
I mean, I did blink. I blinked lots. So take
Oh, jeez.
take what you will of that. Dane, we have an episode 261 in the gigabits and in your ear holes.
Where can people find you, Rick?
People can find me on Twitter at RickF. No, KRICF.
You can always come hang out with me on Twitter at Dane Cody, at DAYNECODY.
Remember to like, follow, subscribe. We're everywhere on the social medias: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. It's Geekoholics everywhere. If you haven't, please subscribe, like, share, whatever, on all those sources. If you don't already, remember, we are a podcast first and foremost. Find us where all podcasts are, distributed: Apple, Google, Spotify, you name it. Your podcast player of choice. leave us a review if possible on any of the Apple platforms, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, or any other sites that have reviews. I don't even know of other podcast sites that have reviews. And of course, you can catch us streaming the show live on twitch.tv/geekaholics every Wednesday. We usually start around 8 o'clock, with exception on special days like today where we are delayed by a holiday or Dane's dentistry or, some
Or
other
both.
bullshit that I'm doing. But, yeah, and covered Twitch, covered all the social medias, covered our social medias. Am I missing anything? Oh, yeah, join the Discord. Geekoholics.com/Discord.
We give
And,
away free games.
yeah. And with that being said, I think we have an episode 261. We are out.
Later, mate.
Peace.